What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Legacy Podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Michelle Harris of Karst Promotions. They do everything that we have branded. Legacy Family. We got some lanyards. We got notebooks. We got mugs. We got all this different stuff that we've done over the years for Legacy Family and giving out gifts and giving out things to our members and different marketing type stuff. But they do a lot more than that, and we're going to get into all that stuff with Michelle. So. Pretty cool story about how she got into the industry and how she's doing things in a counterintuitive way to what the industry has done. She's bringing a fresh perspective and some fresh ideas and a lot of really cool things that they do differently than all the antiquated different methods of people who work in the promotions and marketing business. So I'm excited to sit down with Michelle. She's a rock star human being, and I think you're going to learn a lot from this episode. Michelle Harris, thank you for being here, owner of Karst Promotions. And so I appreciate you being here, and welcome to the Legacy Podcast, first of all. And so in this podcast, we typically sit down with business owners, entrepreneurs, and we talk through a little bit of their origin story, how they became an entrepreneur. And then I love learning about different businesses, different products, different services, because I truly believe like the pillars of business, the marketing and sales and the financing and the accounting and operations and team building, if you understand those skills, it kind of transcends whatever your product or service is. And but it's interesting to see how you can take something from one business or one industry and then utilize it somewhere else. And so I want to dive into all those things and understand a little bit more about your backstory and then kind of where you see Karst going over the course of the next couple of years too. So Tell me a little bit more about, I know we're talking a little offline, but share your story about how you became owner of Karst.
It was kind of by accident. So it's a joke in our industry that nobody goes to school and says, "Oh, I want to be in the promo industry." It's always you have family or it's by accident and you kind of get sucked in and stuck because it's so fun. It's a great industry. So people kind of, and even in my experience with employees, people come in and they leave and then they come back.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So same happened for me. I grew up in Charleston. I moved to Nashville, worked in the music industry for a while, which I loved and I was on a completely different creative path. And then just kind of happenstance, came back to Charleston for a bit and I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? My mom actually owned a company, an employment agency, but that's very professional and kind of wasn't my vibe.
Of hiring, firing, or hiring headhunter type stuff?
Yeah, headhunter. So, and then I'm coming from this creative space and my dad, stepdad actually, but he was semi-retired and had started this business kind of as a hobby, just kind of an offshoot. And I was like, okay, I'll see what this is. This seems kind of cool. I'll go sell something.
How did he come up with this idea?
He had retired from the shipyard and he was a Shriner, and he was number two, or the big head honchos number two. Had to do uniforms for everybody. Oh. And so he realized that this is a thing and that there were very few in the area that were doing that. And so he just decided. Karst Creations was the original name of the company with a K, which drove me nuts. But it started out as a golf club company. He had 3 or 4 different things happening, and then he landed on promotional products, ad specialties at the time. Yeah. Interesting.
And so you come back to Charleston, he's got this part-time business, and you just start working with him, or how did that transition occur?
I just was kind of, there's no music industry here, so I was just what am I going to do? I kind of bounced around a little bit, and it had a creative side to it. So, and I had never sold anything in my life. I literally opened the phone book, and I think Amerigas, that guy ordered some water bottles for his kids' hockey team.
Oh, really?
That was my first, I just started calling. I didn't know what I was selling, what I was doing. I didn't know anything about anything, and just jumped in. I think
there's something to be said about that, of just getting after it, doing the
just figured it
activities, right? We just hosted an event out in Jackson Hole, which, by the way, you guys made the lanyards for, you guys made the tags for, and all that stuff. And we were out there, and the theme of it was back to the basics, right? everybody's gotten sidetracked and too many degrees away from the revenue generating activities that actually move the needle forward in business. And all these distractions are out there, and it's like focus. Focus is the art of knowing what to ignore, and if you can just focus on the revenue generating activities, and in most scenarios it's some form of prospecting, right? Prospecting for clients, prospecting for investors, prospecting for buyers, sellers, whatever it is, depending on what the industry is. And it's and that's what you did. You came in and started doing the activities that actually mattered and started seeing impact.
Yeah, I was guessing my way through it. Of course, he tried to guide me as much as possible. But he was very much kind of what I would call now like an old school distributor. I have catalogs, I have all this stuff, I can put your logo on it. That was kind of the extent of it. And that was the extent of the industry, really. It was there was no internet kind of competition really at that time, and it was very still just a commodity. Like, here's some stuff with your logo on it. There was no design aspect or strategy to it. He got hurt. He actually fell off a ladder and was incapacitated, just suddenly. And all of a sudden, I had to figure out how to do everything.
How many team members do you guys have at that time?
I had just him and I.
Okay, so just you two.
Yeah, it was just two of us. It was literally kind of like a side gig hobby.
But you step into the owner role now.
Yeah. So now I'm like, how do I cut a check? How do I pay a vendor? Like, I had no idea. How do I use QuickBooks? Like, I was literally just kind of on my own. Like, he was not able to help with anything. So he got better. He had fallen off a ladder, hurt his shoulder. So once he kind of came back into things, he came back for a little bit, and I had started to investigate software that made more sense and processes that kind of made more sense, and dig into it a little bit, get rid of the redundancies that I was seeing that was taking too much time. And so he hung around for that a little bit, and when the new software started to come in and he saw what I was doing, he was like, I think you got this. And he just stepped back and never really...
And that was it.
That was it. I was on my own. And so...
That's funny.
Yeah. I just kind of took it and ran.
So what did that look like going from no employees to one employee? Like, who was your first hire?
I had some interns. And I had
It's a good way of starting,
yeah.
right? When you're trying to figure out, how do I hire people? I remember, sitting back, and I was a one-man show doing the real estate stuff. And I was like, I see these big businesses. I don't even know what a process, what a procedure, what a CRM. Like, I had no idea how you went from 0 to 1 employees, let alone, to have 10 or 20 or 50 employees. It was so overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good thought, is just, have somebody come in and help.
Yeah.
Non-committal, right? Come on in, I'll pay you a couple bucks an hour, and we'll try to figure this thing out.
Yeah, that's where I started, with just kind of assistance. And then I tried to hire a salesperson after that to kind of help me with the sales side and just basically replicate what I was doing. And that was okay, but I was just so green in everything. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know much about the industry. So I didn't have anyone even guiding me about, like, process was not even in my vocabulary. I just intuitively knew that, like, we need consistencies, and these things are not working, and this is taking too long. So I didn't really have, like, a structure or a frame of mind, even though I graduated from business school. Like, that all was, like, not applicable.
Yeah. Those are joke classes when you're going through school.
Yeah. And actually had some marketing in there, too. My emphasis was actually on artist management. So, I'm not doing that, which is funny because I was on a track to go to graphic design until I landed in the music side of things. And here I am, 360 or 180, needing it. But anyway.
So you hired some assistants. I think that's the best first hire, by the way, is just take all the non-revenue generating stuff off your plate. Yeah. So that way, as a business owner, you focus on, again, the things that matter and stay in that lane. And what's fascinating is usually I advise folks is, like, the second hire should be somebody who can help drive revenue, which is your salesperson. When you realize, we know that we need processes. A lot of times as a business owner, you either stumble forward, you make a mistake, and you lose time, you lose money, and then you got to backtrack and you do it better the next time, right? You fall and you get back up, you fall and you get back up, and then eventually you finally find your stride. Or you go and get educated, coached, you educate yourself? Like, how did you learn more about sales processes? How did you learn more about operating processes and all that kind of stuff? Was it more the former or the latter?
It was the latter. I feel like I kind of was siloed way too long. I'm almost kind of falling into that in a more efficient way now, scaling. And part of that came from the way that I was approaching client things and the way that I was thinking of it was a novel way to approach things, and I didn't know it. So like when someone came to me and said, I need X, with this terrible logo, I would immediately kind of say, okay, well, here's that, but why are you doing that? What about this? Or maybe let's do the art this way. And so I was providing a service and a way of approaching things that I didn't know that other people were not doing. So it became, in trying to scale, how do I find other people that, I need to clone myself. How do I get other people to think and operate and approach things like me? And it wasn't until, I would say I was probably 10 years into the industry until I found like this core group within my industry that was operating like I was. And then I realized this isn't how, like I'm doing this in a novel way that's like I should be going to market like this and charging for it. And so that's where the transition to how do I scale, how do I get to replicate me within the business and also show off this different approach.
And what's cool about that is like when you're taking a look at all these different products and all these different services and you're thinking about it in a different way, it's because you weren't trained in a bad way, right? Like because you were fresh, because you were new, you weren't jaded with bad processes, bad ideas, this is the way we've always done it, right? You came in with just a fresh blank slate and thought, hey, how do we do this? Here's how I think the best way of doing it. And because you were just so new, again, you weren't jaded by those old school thought mentalities.
And I'm very
and
hesitant
processes.
to hire from the industry because of that.
I can see
because
that.
I don't want to pull in the old habits and that other way of thinking, which is like how my dad started with the old school distributor. I have a catalog and put your logo on anything, but that's just a commodity. That's not a creative service. That's not an agency, which is what we have evolved into.
Yep.
So pulling in someone that works that way into what we're doing, it just doesn't seem to work.
Well, it's a value add that you can charge more for versus just like on the magazine, you're competing on price all the time, and that's like the only thing you can, because everybody's got the same stuff, same access, whatever, and you guys are able to bring this value add service and creative customization that can come with it that other people don't and can't offer, right?
Right.
So what does that look like? So I'm a customer, and I come in, and I think you guys made these mugs, you guys have made those mugs, you guys made those lanyards over there, and I think we have a bunch of other products. Oh, yep, the water bottles, which are a big hit, by the way. And so, we do mostly product-based stuff. I know you guys do a lot of different things. You guys do clothing, you guys do events and event setups. I want to talk about all that stuff. So I come to you, and let's share a little bit about like what the process looks like. And I actually did this with you just a couple of weeks ago on the Bratztoberfest mugs. So I was hosting an Oktoberfest celebration at my house, and I wanted to get steins for everybody to hold their beer in and cheers with and everything. And so I came to you guys and I said, here's what I'm looking for. What can we do here? So like I come to you with an idea, tell you what I'm looking for. How do you then help me ideate that, and then the design process and the offerings and all that stuff?
Yeah. So that being like a one-off, a one-item request, it's a little more simpler, but it's more about you come to me saying I need X, and so I'm typically going to try to push back and have a conversation and say, okay, well, tell me what you're doing, and it's that conversation where you start to tell me what the event was or what happened or who's getting it and how it's going to be distributed. All those little tidbits start like our wheels churning on, well, this would make more sense, or maybe we do this. Yours was a little more simpler explanation where you needed the sign. It was, kind of a smaller event. So for us, it was sourcing, okay, here's, 5 good options within the time range that we needed, within the budget, within the aesthetic that we need. And then you kind of made the call on what you liked, and then we went into the design process. So it wasn't, okay, well, let's just put whatever logo on it. Our team helped create, bring your vision. You already kind of had some ideas of what you liked, and then we created that from scratch, or we reworked that.
They did an awesome job.
Yeah.
I've gotten a bunch of messages of being like, dude, those steins are fire. That's so cool.
Awesome. Good.
And it was really simple. I just Googled a couple of things, and I thought, like, this is kind of the design, the feel, the colors, the bubbliness, or the lines, or the geometry, or whatever, like, that I like. And I sent just a couple of photos, and your design team came back with like this awesome design of exactly what I was looking for, but I couldn't orally explain what I was looking for,
Yeah, and so next year you take that design and we tweak it.
Yeah.
Second annual, or I don't know how often you do that, and it turns into a shirt or a hat, and you kind of create that, that like coveted. Oh, what's he gonna have this next time?
And that's what it's turned into with like our summits, right? Like you guys create these awesome designs for the name tags, and like there's literally people on our team and in the mastermind who collect them and have them like collected and up on a wall, because
and that's the goal.
They're all just different and they're so unique and they're so customized. It's really, really cool to see. So let's go a line deeper. Like we did the simplicity of the mugs.
And you actually had a problem with that delivery too, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I ordered 72 mugs, and they came in boxes of 24. 2 boxes got delivered, 1 did not get delivered.
Right.
And so I was traveling, and I came home, and I realized, it was like 3 or 4 days later after they got delivered, and I was like, oh, we're missing a box. And I'm looking all over my house. I don't know where it is. Because it's kind of weird that 2 would get delivered and then 1 would not. I would think that either nothing or all or nothing. And so I messaged you guys, and I said, where, like, I'm missing 1. I don't know if it's lost in transit. I think it's this tracking number. And I don't know if it was you or somebody on the team was like, nope, we saw that happen on Thursday because we double checked, saw that 1 was missing. We have another 1 being ordered, and it's on its way.
Yeah.
And that was like 10 days before the event.
Yeah, that's a huge difference in the way that we approach things. So
I was
our
really
competitors, our competitors are not watching those fine details to the end, and they're not able to react. And so, if you were to order online or something, you're kind of taking a gamble. Is it going to look great? Is it going to show up on time? Whereas we saw that lost package, and we just went into action. Okay, how do we fix it? Then we'll deal with the lost package. Like, you may have an extra box show up. We just don't know what happened to it.
Yeah.
FedEx, UPS are kind of our worst enemy at the moment, because we can do everything to the detail, and then they screw it up for us. So we're looking at all that. So
how do you, as a business owner, there's a lot of things inside your control, and there's a lot of things outside of your control, right? In real estate, I was on a phone call yesterday with somebody, and he's like, well, just the market. I was like, dude, that's out of your control, right? We can't do anything about that. Let's control the controllables. What is inside of your control, and how can we work inside that? You need to get creative on your financing, or how you're selling the deal, or have you thought about holding it? You might have to hold it for 2 years instead of selling it and flipping this house or whatever. And so we started working through a lot of these different things, because he was just one-track minded. And guess what? It opened up a lot of different opportunities for him, and he's probably going to hold the property. It's going to be a great deal for him long term, and all these other things. As a business owner, I think it's really important to be able to, one, not get upset about the things that are outside of your control, but also understand what's inside your control, and how to take more control over some of the other things. Our property management, third-party property management, has just decimated valuations on some of our apartment buildings, like evaporated millions of dollars of value. And I was like, guess what? I could say this is out of our control, or we could bring it in-house. And it's been a pain in the ass. It's a lot of work, but it's going to be awesome long-term. And we built out our own in-house property management team, and we built out our own property management software, which we're going to take to market as well. So that's one of the things that we've done in order to kind of take more control over that. Are there insurances and things that you can do in order to combat some of these things that are outside of your control in your industry?
Yeah, so our shipping carriers are, there's a pain point there, because they could screw it up, a tight timeline. There's humans making these products. A lot of people don't realize there's a person printing each cup, or running the laser machine, or it's very much, a lot of this stuff is not automated when you see how stuff's made. So taking that into account, like things are going to happen, things are going to go wrong. Everything that we make and create is not produced like right there under our eyes. So things happen. So the way that we preempt it is that it's about how you respond, right? So
Love that.
when something is screwed up, like my first reaction is, okay, how do we fix it? Then we'll deal with what went wrong, who's going to pay for it, like how do we fix it? On the front end, though, it's just as much as important. Like, you'll see me pushing your team. You'll see me pushing, like, hey, this event's coming up. We need to start working on it. So the further out we can start working on a plan, designing, figuring out the product, even if we don't go into production right then. But, like, the further out we can start planning and figuring out what's going to be made, the better, so that we can time it, so that when there is a delay, when something does need to be remade, we can fix it. But when we get down to that line where there's just no time left, we're stuck.
Yeah, I mean, when that package got lost, I was like, here's the thing. I'm in business. I understand that there's things that go sideways. So, like, I'm probably a little bit different of a clientele than some other folks. And I had majority of them there, you know. So I knew that I could have some and we could figure it out. I'd hand them out later or something. So, like, there were some things that I could work through. And I know you guys have been awesome across all of our other stuff that we've done together too. And I think there's like an understanding you see Amazon, they screw up stuff all the time, right? And the shipping and, hey, we sent you an extra part, we're missing a part, we're just going to send you a whole second one. And they figure it out, or they give you a discount, or they say don't even send it back or whatever. But I have to go and tell them that, right? I have to be the one who then leads that charge and figure out that piece. I was really impressed with how on top of it you guys were. And when I sent you a message on whatever it was, Sunday or Monday, you're like, nope, we saw that on Thursday and it's already taken care of from last week. And we're going to have it for you. Everything's going to be good to go. And it was so much easier.
And that goes back to those processes. Like, we've put those processes in place. We have an awesome production person who is managing all those little details, right? To where, you know, she sends that final email, hey, did you get them? Do they look good? Like, it doesn't matter that they just showed up. Did you open the box? Does everything look good?
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised how many people are like, yep, got the box. They open it 3 weeks later, a day before the event, they're like,
all shattered or whatever.
these are wrong. Or, you know, and it's like, but we also, another step that we take is we have one of everything sent to our office. So that we see what you see, we make sure that what was supposed to be made is what was made. A lot of times that doesn't happen, and, you know, if I don't see what you're seeing, I can't help fix it. And a lot of times we will call a client or start working on a remake on a client. We'll say, these colors are not what they were supposed to be, and they didn't even notice. And we will kick back more product because it wasn't right.
At what point, like, it feels like there's a lot of, I don't want to say waste, but like things that go sideways, things that aren't right and that need to be fixed. How do you build that into your budgets and your costs and all those kinds of things? Or do you pass it back to whoever did it incorrectly in the first place? Are there insurances that UPS now owes you money because you lost and had to give the customer a refund? Like, how do you combat that kind of stuff? Like, how do you know, I don't know, if you're in the retail industry, you know that there's 3% that gets stolen every single year and that's part of your budget, right? Like, how have you calculated that?
We don't calculate based off of like how many errors we're going to make. We're calculating on, okay, this happened. Why did it happen? What do we need to fix so it doesn't happen again? So it's wherever the error happened. You know, if it's a UPS thing, then we're going to fix whatever we got to fix over here, but then we're going to hold them accountable to make it right. If we screwed up, then we're going to eat it.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a 50-50 with us and the manufacturer. Like, well, we messed up this part, but you messed up this part. So, hey, what can we do to work together to get it fixed? Like, let's split the difference. So every situation is different. But we have those processes and those fine details being checked, like on graphics and on your art. And every little thing is done on our side, not on our manufacturer's side. So if there is an error, it should not be on us.
Controlling the controllables.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys have done a great job with it. Tell me about some of the new stuff you guys are doing, like the events and the event setups. Did you guys do the Legacy Digital camera thing?
We did not.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
We did all the merch involved in those, but I think Hugh found that somewhere fun.
She's got all sorts of different ideas on things that she does. So tell me about how you guys make those kind of like vendor booths, right? experiential and you're just changing it up to make it more memorable and really pop eyeballs when these vendors go to these different conventions and events?
Yeah, so it's about creating experience. So that can look like a lot of different things. That can look like a trade show booth that's no longer a trade show booth, like a giant camera. That could look like, instead of a swag bag that just has a bunch of crap thrown in there that you're handing to attendees, instead it's set up like a retail shop where they can pick their shirt. They can pick this, and then fill their own bag, kind of go shopping.
Interesting.
So
It's so simple and it's so it's experiential.
yeah, so it's about the aesthetic of how that looks. Does it look nice? Does it fit the brand? Does it fit the location? Does it look nice and clean and not messy? Is there a team in place to keep restocking, to keep it, to help people? Oh, you need a medium, there's not one out here. So there's logistics behind that as well as design and strategy into just creating an experience instead of here's more things.
At what point do you feel like it's no longer your responsibility to do that on their behalf, right? It sounds like you're helping them run their own marketing team and campaign at this convention booth. At what point it's like, all right, now I'm going to put this on, this is your responsibility. It
Right.
seems like you guys are doing way more than what I would ever expect of you.
Right, so there's different levels of service that we have. So there's, we know what we need, we just need to produce a simple product, we need your guidance, maybe, like the Steins, something simpler. And then there's a higher level where we are creating merch collections and we're doing a lot of design work and conceptual things. And then there's that whole experience part where we're acting as an extension of the marketing team and very closely with the marketing team or the event team to kind of be that extra piece to help them. And
Are you participating in those events
whenever
too?
we can, that is the goal, is to really be integrated with these clients and to be working on multifacets of their marketing strategy, whether it's, internal things for employees, events. So the goal is to really be integrated with the clients that we have. So it could be that we're helping them just with what should the strategy of that experience be and who are the people, and then they're setting that up and finding the people and implementing that, or maybe we're tasked to do that. So it just depends on the level of service and how they want to bring us on.
Interesting. That's cool. Where do you see the industry going, right? There's a lot of AI stuff going on right now and a lot of automations, and how do you see that technology impacting your business over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's kind of like a very hard split. So we've kind of been in this middle of de-commoditizing and do this extra level of service there with the AI and with the technology for DTF, which is direct-to-film printing. I see a lot more of on-demand, one-piece minimum opportunities, and that is the way that people want to have that option. In the past, it was really hard to
having inventory is tough.
Yeah, it was really hard in the past to say, okay, I'm going to make one shirt for you, and it's not somewhere sitting on a shelf. Now we can do that. There might be limitations in artwork. There might be limitations in the certain amount of pieces that can be picked from, but we have platforms and software to quickly be able to roll that out to teams and brands to be able to have a shop up that you can order one piece of, and there's a lot to choose from. It's not that limited. But then I feel like that middle of the road is getting a little muddy. Then you have the other spectrum of what we are, which is that full agency that you can't just find on the internet. So I think the industry is going that way, where you're going to have a lot of on-demand demand, and then you're going to have that need for the strategy, the guidance, and the design. Because anybody can go upload a logo and, is it going to be great? Is it going to show up on time? Is it going to look good? Does it even accomplish why I'm ordering it? Do I need 2,000 pens? Why? I mean, there's a place for pens, but for your trade show? So I feel like that is the way that our industry is going to kind of divide and conquer, and that is what we're focusing on. So we've conquered the on-demand. We have that option for the clients that need it, and then we have the other side too.
That's cool. I like it. Yeah, I first thing that comes to mind would be helping out with design aspects and that kind of stuff, and uploading. Here's the ideas. Here's exactly what he's looking for Steins, and blah 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 blah, and have all the AI pop up a bunch of different designs.
We're seeing
But, you know.
AI come into the softwares that we use internally to help with ideation. That's still kind of all being fleshed out. I'm not, we'll see how
Yeah.
smart it is and how,
Yeah,
unique.
I don't think it replaces a role. I think it just
It's a tool.
helps somebody become more efficient. Helps somebody become, instead of me sitting here and brainstorming for 2 hours and coming up with different ideas and scrapping pieces of paper and all this other stuff, it's like it can throw out 100 different ideas in 2 minutes or 20 seconds, and then I can just go through and say, I like this one, and then keep on refining it. And maybe I can work on 3 different clients in the same amount of time that I'm working on one client instead. I think AI is a tool as opposed to a replacement for a role is probably more where it's going right now.
Yeah, for sure. Because we can see every day how it's not replacing how we're thinking, but it's helping us get faster. It's helping us see those initial ideas and then be able to expand on things quicker. For sure.
So what are your goals over the course of the next, let's call it 36 months? I think it's hard to set goals more than 36 months out because things just change so much, right? The industry changes, technology changes, markets change, and all this stuff. But I think 36 months is a good outlook on things.
Yeah.
So what, some of your ambitions, some of your goals for Karst over the course of the next 36 months?
We're in growth mode for sure. We are restructuring. We're going through the EOS process. We are kind of making a mess to clean house, which is really exciting because the goal is that we have a new space. We're looking forward to hosting events and having more interactive things with clients. Also, we're going to start coming to market a little bit differently to kind of show off these capabilities that we just haven't. Unless you've worked with us on something, you probably don't know that we're doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what questions to ask you about all these other different services that you offer, and I had no idea. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, I've got my smart management software, which is the property management stuff that we just developed, and it's going to be out next year. I'm thinking, how can we work together on stuff like that? Because that is something that will go to trade shows and all those different kinds of things. So it's but unless you're telling me that you do that, I have no idea.
Yeah. We have not. We've done a great job about doing the work. We have not done a great job about showing people what we do.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
So, we have a lot of technology for online shops, for employee versus external shops. We do a lot.
Meaning somebody wants to, if I want to create a swag website and do the one-off type things, you guys can help me create that website and all the different things that people can come and buy, and they can buy it one-off and kind of print on demand kind of a thing versus me having to buy a bunch of inventory or print a bunch of books or print a bunch of products and all that stuff. People can just kind of go on there and buy things one-off.
So that's used a lot for, maybe it's an internal, for onboarding for clients. They are, for their team, they want to go on there and pick their t-shirt and their backpack and whatever. Maybe it's an onboarding kit or use a code for, incentives. We use it on the outside. We have some clients that use shops to actually gift to their clients in the holidays. So they'll send out an invitation and then their clients can choose their gift and then we package it, ship it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways we can use shop platforms, as well as holding inventory, pre-making things. Kitting, we were kitting before COVID, but during COVID, that's when we really kind of saw the boom with that, onboarding kits or work from home kits or pre-show kits. People were doing conferences from their house. So, but there's still a lot of demand for that, especially with everyone being kind of scattered in remote work. We do that a lot for internal onboarding.
And what does it look like from, how, I think a lot of times people think that promotional type items sometimes are just little magnets that you hand out and gets thrown away, or a pen that gets thrown into a drawer or whatever. There's some pretty high-end stuff too that you guys can do, right? Give me some examples of some let's say I go and meet with a client. I'm meeting with somebody that I'm trying to buy, I don't know, $100 million of apartment buildings from over the next 5 years, or whenever this guy retires. I want to be able to be the one that he calls in order to buy his entire rental portfolio. Like a client that's like a very high ticket client that you really want to impress. What are a couple things that you've seen and ideas that people have done, just kind of like on a one-off gift too?
Yeah. We can co-brand and partner with a lot of high-end brands. So that's usually where that ends up falling. So, maybe it's $1,000 Toomey bag or something that's maybe branded, maybe not. Maybe it just has a small little something on the metal tag. So pretty much any brand we can typically collaborate with. And so maybe that piece is packaged. The packaging is what is you, but then it's this really nice X. So we've done that. Alcohol comes into play in a lot of those situations.
That's right. That's kind of cool. Like a customized label.
Yeah, so we will, maybe it's, one of the high level, a Maker's Mark or something, or really, a high-end brand or a limited edition or something, and then we'll etch the bottles, do like a commemorative type thing.
That's cool.
And then that could be packaged with a whiskey set of glasses and rocks and better packaging and some messaging. So things like that, creating something that, again, has that very like special, maybe personalized experience.
Is there like an automated thing that somebody could go through and just like start answering questions and clicking some buttons and starts directing them in the right way? Or is it best if they just kind of talk to somebody on your team and you guys pull ideas and things and then offer different strategies on what to do there?
We've had forms on the website and we've developed forms in the past, but in my experience, when I'm working with somebody that has that level of project, they don't want to do that. And I would rather just talk to them, because I don't know what they don't know what I don't know, and you'd be surprised when we start having that conversation how the direction of what we thought we were going to do completely shifts. When I realize that there's a bigger thing happening with what you're doing, So if I can grab a few minutes of their time, I would much rather have a conversation. That's
cool.
Yeah.
No, it's really neat. It's really cool to see of how much more robust your business and your industry is than I think, again, antiquated thoughts and old school mentality leads to. And you guys are leading the charge on all that stuff. So it's really exciting. I can't wait to come out to one of your guys' events and check out and understand even more so. And we appreciate the partnership that we've had with you guys for many years on all the different legacy branded stuff too. So
it's been awesome. Y'all let us be creative. So those are our favorites.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys have done a fantastic job. And so I appreciate everything. I'm just excited to watch the growth over the next few years. So Congratulations on everything.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate you being here. Make sure you're connected with Michelle, and they can provide services and products and all that kind of stuff anywhere in the country. So we utilize them because the quality of service is super high. The costs are very reasonable on all the products and things that we get, and they're just great people to work with. I love supporting small businesses, and Michelle's business is no different. So definitely connect with her. We'll put all of her contact information in the show notes here. And appreciate you guys being here. We do these every single week. Check us out at legacywealthholdings.com, and we'll see you next Sunday.